Hi there. Welcome back. Today we'll explore arm balances. Just a fun opportunity to play with some inversions and take our head below our heart, and therefore shifting our perspective, getting a new vantage point, shuffling things around, and also creating a little unsteadiness. And that's okay. Remember, it's okay to waver and fall and play and explore and challenge ourselves. That's what I think we're being called to do right now in this world. So find a comfortable seat. The only prop that you might need is either a yoga block if you have one, or a pillow, a couch pillow, or anything like that to help you get a little bit more lift. Position yourself so that those hips are above the knees, and then come into a nice grounded form where you can sit comfortably for the next several rounds of breath. And close the eyes as you're ready. And bring your awareness to the space behind the eyes. And just taking in those initial shapes and colors as you soften the lids together. And now gently resting your awareness in that space between the eyes, the third eye center, that sacred space of your wisdom and intuition. And just breathe a few breaths into that area of your energy and of your being. I think it's so important to pause in silence and in solitude as a way of coming together with ourselves, recognizing all of our attributes, all of our perfections, all of our contributions, and all of our roots and strengths. And during this difficult and adapting time, we humble and we recognize that everything that we're doing in this moment, in each moment, is exactly where we're meant to be. And so as we play with some arm balancing work today, let's have fun with it. We'll invite in a curiosity and a playfulness and be with what is, go with what is. So whether we get it or not today, that's exactly where we're meant to be. Take a big full breath into this moment and let it out through the mouth as you bow the chin. Softly open the eyes whenever you're ready. And we'll get started in an all fours position today. And so for arm balancing, we need to do a few things first and foremost, and that's activate the shoulders, but also activate the core energy. So as you come into this all fours position, we're going to flatten out our feet initially, and the knees will be hip distance apart, the hands will be shoulder distance apart. And then I just want you to shift the weight forward so that the shoulders come in front of the wrist creases, the palms are really spread. Bend the elbows straight back behind you, gather the belly in toward the spine, and lower the chest any amount where you really start to feel those triceps. You'll notice my elbows right alongside my ribs. Press back up as you're ready, and then curl back to child's pose. We're going to leave the knees right in line with the hips right now, and I just want you to gather in a big stretch as you press from the fingers, lower the forehead, and reach the hips toward the heels. Take a breath there. Good. On your inhale, we're going to curl back into that all fours position. On your exhale, shift the shoulders in front of the wrist creases. Bend the elbows. They bend straight back behind you. This is really kind of a big thing right here. Gather the belly inward and then lower down a little bit further. Again, those elbows kind of scrape the sides of the ribs. Good. Press it back up. Feel that strength, that awareness of the arms, and then circle it down to child's pose. As you come to child's, lift up off of the wrists so the front of the palms are grounded and soften the forehead. Round the belly way in toward the spine and rest those hips back toward the heels, breathing. Good. Inhale and come to all fours position. Last one, gang. This is the big one. Shift forward and down. Belly is active. Arms are working really hard. Go as low as you can without touching the floor, and then press it back up. I'm pawing and clawing the floor with my hands. They're also really charged up. Good. Full child's pose. You can widen those knees, but keep the big toes connecting. And circle the wrists, about 3 circles in each direction. Relax those elbows down to the floor, so fully resting child's pose. And then we'll even take the arms beside the body, so the biceps rest on the thighs, the palms face upward, the backs of the hands rest on the floor. Take 3 breaths here. Close the eyes. And with the forehead connected to the mat, bring that awareness back into your third eye center. Take your time to lift back into that all fours form. Knees will slide back under the hips. And then we'll extend the right leg straight back behind us, flexing through it, the toes angled down. Just be aware that as we lift that right leg, oftentimes the right hip wants to come up. So let's bring that down so both hips are squared. Once again, gather the belly in, lengthen through the low back, and then extend the left arm forward. Good. From here, bend that bottom right elbow, and then we'll exhale and draw the elbow and the right knee toward one another underneath the belly. I want you to lift the hips a little bit higher and maybe curl the chin down to the chest. Inhale and extend. We've got 3 more. Find your breath flow. Exhale, curl in. Lift the hips high. Inhale, reach, lengthen, find more length. Keep the belly active and energized. Exhale, curl in. Last one. Good. Finish out your exhale, knee and elbow connect, and then we'll release the left hand and step the right foot through. Awesome. Float those hands up to the thigh. Good. Bend your left knee and then take the right hand back to meet it. So it's the opposite hand to the opposite foot. Good. From here, pull in with the belly and then turn to the right any amount. So I've really got that back foot nice and flexed, and I'm just resting my hand on the front thigh. It's not pushing, okay? What we want to do is breathe in and lift up through the heart, and as you exhale, breathe out and curl a little bit more to the right. Gather those shoulder blades onto the back. Lift up through the head and the neck. Nice. Slow release here. Place both hands beside the front foot and then reach the right foot back behind you. We're going to continue to flex through it. This time, the left hand stays grounded. The right hand comes back to meet that same foot. Here again, that right hip wants to open to the right, and so does the knee, correct? So you want to drop both of those down. So now that back toe, those back toes, the left ones, they can be tucked under, or to make it a little easier, flatten it. Yeah. And then we're going to soften that left elbow, and we're going to lift that right heel up just a little bit. Bend that right back elbow, curl the belly in, and then extend through that heart. See how much drop you can get in that right hip, just so that it's side by side with the left one. Feel this wavering. Embrace it. Be here with it. And the more that you soften, the easier it becomes. Nice, you guys. Release that child's pose. 2 more breaths here and we'll change sides. As we go through these balance poses, I'll invite you to find a drishti, which is just a Sanskrit word for Something that you can rest your gaze on, preferably something that's not moving, because once we can fix the gaze, the eyes onto something that's still and steady, we in turn become somewhat still and steady. Rise up to all fours as you're ready and just start to soften the eyelids, the facial features as you connect to a drishti down in front of you. Good. Inhale and extend the left leg. The foot angles down. Drop down through that hip. So both hips are squared. Lengthen the side body and then extend the right arm. So you'll see that my thumb faces up and my palm gets turned inward. That's just a nice placement for that right arm, that right shoulder. Soften the left elbow and then 4 times through, exhale, curl in, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. Feel free to breathe out through the mouth. That releases a lot of heat, a lot of energy. You can build some heat in the body. Breathing. 2 more. Last one, team. Hold it through that exhale as you're curled up, and then step that left foot forward, planting the right hand. Good. Pause and bring the hands up to the thigh. Nice. Lift the back toes off the floor. Are we on the same side? It's possible that we are. If that's the case, let's switch it out. Lift the back toes off the floor. I do this all the time in the studio. Left hand to left foot. Good. Curl the belly. No, we were right. Switch it back out. Left foot forward. Good. This is the twist. So that's where I got confused. The left hand comes to that back foot. Nice. The right hand rests on the front thigh. Again, there's no pull from it. We use the oblique muscles to turn to that left. Good. Pull in with the core and then rise up with the heart. Bend the back elbow, drawing that left shoulder more and more onto the back. And then just think of a nice long line from the base of your spine all the way up through the crown of the head. Take the ears back a little bit, lengthening the neck, and take 1 more breath. Lovely. Exhale and release that. Plant the hands and we'll step back to the 3-legged all fours form, and we'll lift that left heel up toward the ceiling just a little bit. Drop down through that left hip. Okay, root into the right hand, bend that elbow, and then left hand to left foot, same one. Sometimes you get it the first try, sometimes it takes a few rounds. Nice, drop down through that left hip. Find your drishti here. Where is that gazing point where you can soften your facial features so they're not working as hard? Flex that left foot and lift it any amount that feels safe for your body. Extend through the heart. And slowly release all fours. And then we'll lift it up to downward facing dog for 3 breaths here. And just feel that nice big stretch through the full body. And once again, try to relax and release here. Softening and letting go. Good. Bend those knees and step or float forward into Uttanasana, forward fold. Take 3 rounds of breath here, feeling that steady foundation of the feet, really anchoring and grounding down through the leg energy. And then floating those hands to the shins, we'll extend halfway, offering the heart forward and gliding the shoulders onto the back. Good. Exhale and bow. Inhale, lift up halfway. And this time, bend through those knees. Float through chair pose, so the hips drop a lot. All slide back so you can see. And the arms shift up so that the biceps are next to the ears. Root down and rise to stand. Inhale. Exhale, hands come through center. Good. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, release the hands behind the body. Maybe they interlace, maybe you just draw the thumbs together. Wherever you're at, gather in a bend in the elbows, and maybe explore lengthening the hands back and away from the sacrum. Step the feet wide, shoulder or mat distance, and bend through those knees. Good, we're gonna hinge from the hips and bow humbly forward, and lift those arms up overhead. No need to worry how high the hands become. We just want to really work those shoulders onto the back plane of the body, and that's where the bent elbows really play a big role. Good. Take another breath and relax through the head and the neck. And then release those hands, place them to the shins, and lift halfway up. Awesome. As you exhale, plant the hands, and you'll move your feet back to plank pose. And from plank, we've been here before in class, in the studio, live, but we've also been here in this practice as well. So the invitation will be to keep the knees high, but if you need to, by all means, lower them down, okay? We're gonna exhale and bend those elbows straight back behind us. Again, the elbows scrape the ribs. The belly's gonna curl inward, and we're gonna pause and hover. Inhale, press back up to plank pose, and exhale, come back to child's. Awesome, you guys. Roll the wrists, release the forehead, and nod it side to side on your mat or on your space. Gently come back to breath. This next one we're going to do is a little bit playful. It takes a lot of strength. So circle your way back into that all fours form. And as we did on standing balance poses, we really want to spread through the hands, okay? Bend out through the elbows and then hug those wrists in. So it's just like the shin in engagement. We really want to hug the forearms in toward one another. Yeah, that's going to create that midline connection, which is really super important in our balance poses. Tuck your toes under and lift up the knees. Plank position once again. Lift the right foot about hip level. The toes are angled down once again. And then play with extending the left fingers just as we did earlier. Again, I like the thumb up and the palm facing in, and really soften through that bottom right elbow. Find your drishti. Replace the left hand and the right foot and switch it out. Left toes lift, and this could be it. Maybe you just play with lifting the right fingers any amount off the floor. Maybe you go for the extension. Wherever you're working, you're really active and you're finding that midline. Hug in. Awesome. From here, replace that. Bend your knees and step or float forward. Good. Take your peace fingers and wrap them around your big toes. You might have to bend your knees quite a bit to reach this. And then from here, just bend those elbows out to the sides. Let go of the head, nod the neck. Yes and no, just releasing any tension there. And bow any amount more forward as you lift your sitting bones higher. Just take 2 breaths here. Release those fingers when you're ready. Lift up to halfway. So we're going to play with crow pose, and you may need to watch this to have a visual before you connect to it. But once again, those hands are really going to spread. Think downward facing dog hands, and the elbows are going to bend. A nice way to get into this position is if you have a little bit of a lift. So I'm going to use my pillow and stand on it, okay? So that's just going to lift me up away from the floor a little bit and make it more accessible for you. So the hands are going to firmly ground, palms spreading with intention, okay, and shoulder distance apart. We've talked a lot about bending the elbows straight back, so we're going to do that once again. Here's the fear factor. This is kind of a mental thing, so bear with yourself and go at your own pace. You want to shift that weight of the shoulders in front of the wrists, okay? You'll bend through the elbows, bend them straight back, and you'll kind of snuggle one knee at a time into your armpits. So you're creating the shelf of the triceps for the feet, or the shins, excuse me. And then maybe I'm going to go for the full version just so you can see it all. Maybe one foot lifts, maybe the other one does. If they do, the big toes come toward one another. I'm really working hard to squeeze my knees into my triceps and vice versa. Good. You'll notice I'm looking straight down, finding that drishti, and my core is really charged up. Play with that for a moment. I'm going to come out and take a rest, but just try it. Maybe one foot lifts up and then comes back down. Maybe the other foot lifts up and then comes back down. Wherever you're working, come to that midline connection. Hug those knees inward. Hug those elbows and those forearms inward. So what you really want to be mindful of is that the elbows don't come out to the sides. That's what they're going to want to do. You want to really keep those elbows right in line with those shoulders, and those hands are working so hard. You're doing awesome. Breathe wherever you're working. If you fall out of it, that's okay. It's totally okay. It took me years to get to this place, so just go where you're at today, right now. Yeah. Good. Whenever you're ready for a little gentle release, come to forward fold position. And yet again, bend those knees quite a bit. We're going to flip the palms so the back of the hands rest on the floor. Lift up your toes and shift those hands underneath the feet. And just kind of give yourself a little massage as you curl your toes around the fleshy part of the thumbs and up by the wrists. Just giving those wrists a nice break. Gorilla pose. Good. Bend the elbows, release the head and the neck. Come out of that when you're ready. And again, we'll shift towards side crow pose. So you're going to face the right side of your yoga mat. And again, you might need this visual first. Same deal with the arms. So the hands are really going to ground. The elbows are going to bend straight back. And then again, it's this rock. I'm on my toes. I don't know if you can see those or not, but I'm going to be on my toes. And I'm just going to shift all of my body weight forward. Okay. And eventually, hopefully, maybe the left leg rests on that opposite right tricep. But again, you can see the elbows are bent straight back, the feet are flexed, and then I'm going to try to lift and extend my heart forward. Really hard to talk in that position. Give it a whirl. It's really awkward. Even just getting into the twist is a big deal, okay? So go with that. Your body might not be used to this maneuver already. So as you come into the twist, the knees face the long edge of your mat, and then the arms, you kind of have to like pull your belly in and sweep the arms in front of your body. Downward facing dog hands, so they're shoulder width apart, they're really spread and active, and then those elbows bend, and you just move the weight forward. And that's going to initially just lift those hips up. Go from there and see where you're at with that, okay? Maybe one set of toes comes off the floor, maybe both do. Wherever you're at is just perfect. Good. Play around for a moment. And then come to a seated form and stretch out the wrists. We're just going to grab the fingers of one hand and just give a nice stretch to that top of the wrist. And then the other. We've just got one more, so we're just going to do that other side really briefly. Just to visit it, just to have fun and find some playfulness. And then we'll stretch out and wind down. So as you're ready, face the opposite direction. Make sure you're fully facing that long edge of your mat. And then squeeze in those knees. So really find that midline connection with the legs. Sweep the arms toward the front of your mat as the belly button curls back toward the spine. Bend those elbows straight back. And then rock forward any amount. You might find that one side's a little more awkward or a little easier than the other. And you just play. You just play and you explore and you find what's best for you. Good. Come out of that when you're ready. Come to all fours and have a seat back toward your heels and take those hands behind you for maybe an interlace. We're going to come to rabbit pose. And by doing that, we're just going to lift the hips off of the heels, lower the crown of the head down to the floor, and lift those arms overhead. And I'll even invite you just to really try not to put too much weight on the crown of the head. Really let it be about the legs here, but just give a gentle kind of rock side to side on the crown, forward and back. How often do you get to come to a place where you can massage out the top of your head? Release the hands beside you when you're ready. Shift down to child's pose, widening those knees and extending the arms, and give the wrists a few circles. And from child's, release the elbows to the floor. Bend the elbows, bring the palms together, and we'll rest the heels of the hands behind the back of the head. And as you do so, press all 10 toes into the floor, press into the elbows, and rock and offer the sitting bones back toward the heels a little bit more. Lift up through the armpits, melt the chest and the heart, and take 3 breaths. Release the arms, palms down, and crawl up to all fours position, shifting those hands back under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips here. Good. Lift the right fingers up and open to the right, shifting the shoulders on top of one another. Belly draws in, and we just find this nice opening, this nice stretch to the right. Curl under the left arm, flipping through the right palm, and lower the side of the head to the mat. Good. Offer those hips back so you find a little more length in the spine and side bodies. And then extend the left fingers straight out in front of you. Press into them and get this nice big stretch and length of line through the left side body. Plant through the left hand, stack it under the shoulder, and reach back up to the ceiling with the right. Big breath in, exhale. Lower the hand, all fours. Inhale, left arm floats up. Open and turn just a little bit more to the left. That left arm is nice and straight and the hand is charged. And then exhale, fold it underneath the opposite forearm. Release the left side of the head down. Curl the chin inward toward the chest a little bit. And then extend those right fingers out in front of you. Press into the fingers, root the hips back. And turn open any amount to the right. Good. Shift that right hand back under the shoulder. Inhale, extend the left fingers way up toward the ceiling. Exhale, release. Walk those hands forward, tuck the toes, and stretch back to downward facing dog. Good. Take 2 more breaths, just continuing to soften and release. And then lower down through the knees as you're ready. Have a seat on the support that you had earlier. And we'll just finish up with a minute or two of just a nice, gentle seated meditation. After all that work and energy, creating that balance between working, moving, stretching, trying new things, and then finding this stillness, this calm. Our imbalances are all about just welcoming balance into our lives. Right? And we do so just by honoring what that means for us and not necessarily trying to come to an answer for that, but just stepping into the idea of balance. So when you've got your comfortable seat, go ahead and close the eyes once again. And as you soften into stillness, perhaps you find the balance between the inhales and the exhales. Perhaps there's balance between the energy that we root down through the pelvis and the energy that we rise up through the spine. Creating that root to rise balance. Continue to witness your breath. Balancing the daily doing with a few moments of undoing or not doing. Stay as long as you'd like in this seated position. Or as you're ready, take your time and fold the hands at the heart, bow the chin inward. And really be proud of trying something new perhaps today. Be proud of stepping forward into the space of what is and recognizing, coming to a place of being, surrendering anything that you let go of to step into a new challenge. All of my very best. Stay well, friends. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Thank you for playing and sharing your practice. Have a great rest of your day.